If you like this episode, please subscribe, share with others, rate and review so we can continue to bring you great programming.
This is The Thing About Cars, a podcast for car enthusiasts and the people who love them.
Hello, this is The Thing About Cars. I am Mickey Desai. Around the table, we've got a full gang today. Dawn, how are you, Dawn?
I am good. Good morning, everyone.
Misty, how are you?
I'm walking like an Egyptian.
We were talking about Egyptian. What was
Pharaohs.
it? There's a word for that. Pharaohs. Or something. Yeah.
Pharaohs.
Yeah.
Yes. Ben, how goes it, Ben?
Yo, ye pharaohs.
Tim. Good morning, Tim.
I'm doing Pharaoh to Midland.
Tim, you our trivia's are Tim. Do you have trivia for us today?
I do. Just want to double check. Did we do lean manufacturing last time, or just-in-time manufacturing? I don't think we did.
I don't think we did. No.
Okay.
No.
All right. So we'll want to start off with that.
Yes.
Okay. All right. Also known as lean manufacturing, just-in-time manufacturing is a hyper-efficient process pioneered by which Japanese automaker in the 1960s? Was it Honda, Nissan, Subaru, or Toyota?
Lean. One more time, Tim. The question.
Sure. Lean manufacturing, also known as just-in-time manufacturing, the hyper-efficient process pioneered by which Japanese automaker in the 1960s? Honda, Nissan, Subaru, or Toyota?
Okay.
If I get this wrong, I'm going to ask them to revoke my Lean Six Sigma yellow belt certificate.
Very good. That's yeah. So we'll come back to that at the end of the episode.
Great. Thank you. So we were supposed to have a guest today, Destiny Spurlock, who's a racing monster. I don't know if I'm allowed to call her a monster. She does a lot of racing and she does a lot of really cool stuff. She was going to join us today, but got a last minute call to go do something motorcycle related. And so she had to go take care of that.
I can't say that I blame her. It's not that I don't love y'all, but I mean, it would be a hard call.
Yeah, she says in her text message this morning, she's like, sorry to text you so early. Is there any way we can move the recording? I was supposed to take my Pro Stock motorcycle yesterday, but the guy didn't reply back to me until this morning. It's the Pro Stock motorcycle guy's fault, and we will have to reschedule with Destiny. But I've got two things for us to talk about. Okay. Plus anything else we want to put on the table. The first thing, and this one's not as fun, and we go pretty quickly, is that the where is it? God, I know it's up. The National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, after years of voicing its intent to do so, is advancing notice of proposed rulemaking surrounding anti-drunk driving technology, making it mandatory in all cars so that a car can not be turned on if you are in any way impaired. So I don't know how I feel about this. Actually, I know how I feel about this. I have no good feelings about this.
I'm in the same boat too. I mean, I think that, we all know, one bad apple spoils the bunch, but I think not, my personal opinion, this is going too far. Now, if you ever get dinged for a DUI, and I know one DUI is all it takes to kill somebody. I'm not, but I don't know.
My great question is, how do you account for all the different varieties of impaired driving that there is, whether it's alcohol, marijuana, opioids, meth,
cheese.
Someone who's just had too much cheese, someone who is running late to work and needs to drive a whole lot faster.
What if you're a diabetic and you're on the verge of a sugar incident, right?
Right.
Right. Or you just got a divorce, moved house, and lost your job.
Right. Or haven't slept in 37 hours.
Don, you're about to say something, Don? No?
I'm going to be the absolute center in this conversation. After spending 30 years in the substance use disorder field as an advocate in the mental health field, I'm glad that we have one more tool in our toolbox, and the interlocker devices would definitely not just save lives, but save maiming. If someone dies, and I'm going to be very, very specific here, if someone dies in a car accident, that's a mercy. I have lived and seen people that have been maimed and scarred, and their lives have been absolutely ruined because someone gets behind a vehicle when they shouldn't, and your decision-making process is completely impaired. Can we save every life? No. Can we account for every type of drug or substance of choice? Absolutely not. The issue here is that can we save someone from spending a lifetime being absolutely miserable? Yes. And that's my bottom line.
Well, sure. And that definitely applies, I think, to repeat offenders. I mean, I'd have no problem with a one and done. Once you've been convicted the first time, then say for the rest of your life, you're stuck with the whatever impairment sensor that they devise for.
Yeah, unfortunately, Tim, research shows that one time you get behind the vehicle is your 10th time getting behind the vehicle.
Right. Yes.
And that's absolute research. I mean, this is data driven, looking at drivers, and it's not just you've made your first mistake. I mean, people are
just
getting
the first
behind the
time
wheel.
you've gotten caught.
It's the first time you've gotten caught. And I respect people's opinion. I've spent my life in this field and my career in this field. And it's really difficult to know that when you've got something that could save people from being injured and altering, and it affects all of our insurances too. It's not just that driver. It affects the car industry, it affects the insurance industry. There's just so many different things. Do I like Big Brother? Absolutely not. Do I wish that people made good decisions? I absolutely do. It's just would like to have a tool that could really keep everybody safe. And the sad part is that it's kids, it's people that get behind the wheel of a vehicle inebriated and they hit mom and their kids, and mom gets killed. And then the kids end up in foster care, and one of the kids ends up being impaired. There's just so many, and it's not anecdotal. It's data-driven information that we've got from the Substance Abuse Mental Health Services Administration, from NIDA, from the National Institutes of Drug and Alcohol, from the National Transportation Safety Administration. I mean, we have good data. Let's use it. Let's figure out how we can encourage people to take alternative transportation when they're enjoying and imbibing, or stay home, or stay at the bar, or walk home. We've got to do a better job. We just have to do a better job allowing people to use whatever they want to use and not hurt someone.
Okay, so how do you go ahead, Ben?
The bad apples have been pretty damn relentless, haven't they?
Well, yeah, that's true.
And the bad apples, like just the other day, I was driving down 285 and got cut off every mile. I mean, and you can look, I could watch the car and it was swerving. It's unfortunate that we're talking about numbers here. We're talking about large numbers. And so, I'm very passionate about this issue, extremely passionate, because I want them.
I have a question. I have a question for the guys. Would because I have to say I don't like it, but I am actually kind of more on Dawn's. I am more Team Dawn than I am anything else. Would y'all be more comfortable with it if the technology were at such a point to where if you blew impaired, so to speak, your car converted to a self-driving car and took you home and only took you home, or if you were in your own location, would just be like, yeah, no, we're not going anywhere.
Yeah, we're almost to that point. So how do you account for all the people who are smoking marijuana, which is also now a legal drug in, 1/4 of the U.S.? Is there's no breath test for that, I don't believe.
I mean,
I'm correct.
I'm personally torn on the issue here. My own academic background is in adult addictions and recovery. On the other hand, I'm a huge proponent of giving people responsibility for their actions. And where do you draw the line here, right? Like Dawn says, do we protect this is a terrible thing to say. Do we protect the innocent, or do we just punish people once they've been caught or once they have an infraction? I mean, life is messy as it is.
We can always go back.
Life is messy as it is. Do we need to legislate making everything clean and sparkly? Yeah,
but do we go to the caveat? Because as you were saying, let everybody kind of take responsibility for themselves. But then do we go back to that really old chestnut of your right to swing your fist ends where my face begins?
Right.
Yeah.
I think in the next 20 years, self-driving cars will be probably viable. And yeah, if you have that option where, you hit a button that says, I'm impaired, take me home. And, you have a light that comes on the outside of the vehicle, and the car only goes the speed limit down whatever route to take you home. It's your own personal taxi or Uber, so to speak. Sure, that'd be a great idea. And, for anyone who has imbibed or is doing whatever substance, that would work out great.
Which is exactly why I chose my apartment, so I can just crawl across the street.
Yeah, you're within stumbling distance for sure.
I mean, it's a tough situation, right? I mean, I'm not trying to split the group. I'm not trying to divide the discussion in any way. Do we need to stop making victims? Absolutely. Do we need to victimize everybody else in the pursuit? I would prefer not to.
Well, the responsibility question, keeps flashing in my brain because, personal responsibility is great if people would use it. That's the thing.
Which is exactly the thing, and they don't. And I think that we're all, mature enough that, we can hold differing opinions, and, still go out, and have a coffee. The only thing I'm concerned about is this is going to lead directly to the 3 shells.
The shells are?
Oh, look, man.
Why is Mickey the only one that got that? Fine.
I didn't get it either.
Yeah.
And personal responsibility is, unfortunately, when someone is using substances, their brain is hijacked.
Exactly right. So the first thing to go is judgment.
I mean, judgment is out the door. The brain's need for that substance and an increasing level of that substance, if someone has the brain chemistry that produces an addictive situation, is almost insurmountable. We do have treatment. We do have this, but treatment's not cheap and treatment's not covered by all insurances. I'm so glad we're talking about this issue. Let's bring light to it, because we don't talk enough about it. We do shame the person who uses and has a substance use disorder. We don't talk about, that alcohol is food and alcohol is part of our culture. We don't talk about how we get people diagnosed and into treatment, and we don't talk about prevention. So I think there's a huge piece here that, again, I would be a proponent that the locking device is one tool in the toolbox. And I wish that I could say that someone with a substance use disorder, personal responsibility was something we could rely on. We can't. And I just go back to, we're not going to see every single drug be able to be identified. Ketamine, unfortunately, is now in the press because of the demise of Matthew Perry. I'm glad that he wrote a book that bringing his struggles to light, but that is an anesthesia. I mean, and it is going to be undetectable if someone gets behind the vehicle. There's no way we could filter that out. I like to continue. Let's continue having these discussions. Let's look at prevention. Let's look at treatment. Let's look at long-term care. Let's use the tools that we have, and let's stop shaming and blaming the person that is unfortunately whose brain has been hijacked.
I agree, and I want to switch gears off this topic because I think we could beat on it for a long, long time, and maybe we should revisit it at some point, because I think the solution also involves much bigger picture discussions, not just within your vehicle, but within society in general.
Yeah,
and like Dawn is hinting already. It's a treatment issue, right? It's both a stigma and treatment issue, but that has nothing to do with your car. So we're going to switch gears, literally, and not literally. What am I saying? Can I switch gears literally?
Do you have a gear handy that you can switch?
No, I'm sorry, I do not. Looking around my desk in complete futility.
Should we all sit in manual transmission cars when we do these shows so that we can switch gears?
Nice. Like, Mickey, I'm trying to go in reverse and nothing happens.
The only one I have now is the race car, and it doesn't even have a transmission in it, so it doesn't have a gear lever in it. So.
Dawn looks like she had a thought.
Yeah, it's fascinating because my 2004 CLK 320 Mercedes, supposedly I'm able to use the auto to move to manual. I have never been able to figure that out.
Huh.
It doesn't. First of all, it's straight up and down. I mean, it's not like I can really feel. Yeah, I mean, it's more like you're moving from first to second, and that you're downshifting. But it's more like moving that thing up and down. It's not like the nice little, like you felt like the gear shifts of old.
So it doesn't do Tiptronic, that thing where you just nudge it and it goes up and down?
Yeah, I mean, I think it does, but that's no fun. I mean, you're not really like moving that doggone thing.
I think it's really more for utilitarian purposes where you might want to keep your engine at high RPM for whatever reason,
Right.
Yeah, if you're going down a hill and want to use engine braking.
Yeah, or you're towing.
So
yeah,
that makes more sense for a German car. And please excuse me for my almost outburst. I was having to carry the load of having the mind in the gutter for both me and Dave, since Dave is not here. And thank you, Don, for reminding me that I am indeed a 12-year-old boy. Wow.
All right. So the gear that I'm switching to here is, and I think Ben in particular might get a kick out of this, is somebody on Reddit asked this question, and I thought the answers were kind of funny. Which car brand is the hardest / most difficult to work on? Now, this is not science, right? This is not a poll. This is not regulated in any way. It's just a bunch of opinions. But what do you guys think surfaced more than any other? And they didn't. I'll say this: they didn't mention brands in particular. They mentioned nationalities. Anybody?
French. French.
I was going to say German first, but for example, my battery is underneath the passenger seat in my SUV. What the heck? Like, you have to take the seat out to get to the battery. That's terrible.
What was that Citroen DS where you had to take the engine out to work on the brakes or something?
Ben has seen weirder places, and he was at the proctologist at the time.
Oh yes.
My sister-in-law is an automotive service writer, so she's the one when you need your car fixed at the dealer. She's the one who tells you tell her what's wrong with the car, and she says, "Oh, okay, well, we need to go look at this, that, the other." And she sent a picture recently of it was a GM dealership, and they had the entire body removed off of an SUV because they needed to get to something on the engine, and that was the only way, is to take the entire body off. But it's like it's one of those standard operating procedure things where it's a question of X number of electrical connectors, fuel line connectors, maybe not even fuel line connectors, just electrical connectors, and a certain number of bolts, and the whole body comes off the chassis and drivetrain.
What is the cost of that? I mean, do you mind? You might as well turn the car in and go buy another one. I can't even imagine how much that would cost.
I think that's kind of what they're aiming for, which actually led in, but that kind of attitude for like home appliances here in Europe actually led to European Union legislation to where you have to be able, it either has to last 10 years and you have to be able to repair it for like 10 years after they stop manufacturing it.
Yay, Europe.
Same thing is with like emissions control systems in the US for vehicles. It's like the manufacturer has to promise that they stock in all the parts for, I think it's both that and for like seat belts, etc., airbags, to keep the car roadworthy and safe.
Yeah.
Does Mickey just want me to, just blow a gasket and blow a gasket, and go back on my rant about stop over-engineering cars, stop putting all this electronic crap in it, just put a bleeding freaking carburetor in it and distributor buttons.
Misty, I got you, baby. It's all right. Everything's going to be okay.
Can you feel the electronic hug coming over over your inner tubes? Yeah.
It's all going to be okay.
Just put 4 wheels in a milk crate.
It's all going to be okay.
Freaking steering wheel. It's all you need. Damn it.
And a gear shift.
This person,
right.
This person writes, I was never a fan of any German vehicles, but for me, the biggest pile of crap, and he did not use the word crap. The biggest pile of crap I had the misfortune of opening the hood on. That I ever had the misfortune of opening the hood on was a Land Rover. Honestly, all British cars can go straight to hell.
Yeah. The Brits are famous for, making one bracket, do 12 different things. So regardless of what system you're working on, you have to take off all 12 things that are attached to that one bracket.
It really depends on the car, though. I can, well, speaking from Lotus experience, I've owned, for listeners who aren't up on my history, I've owned two Lotuses, a 1986 Turbo Esprit, which I had for a few years, and now for the last 8 years, it's been 8 years this month, I've had a 1970 Elan Plus 2. Radically different cars. They both have backbone frames and fiberglass bodies, but the Esprit was a mid-engine exotic sports car type thing, and the Plus 2 is a front mid-engine. The engine is technically behind the line of the front wheels, but it's still front engine rear drive. And the Esprit was the craziest thing I ever turned a spanner on. Things that were very difficult to get to, very taxing physically to access some things. Just they kind of crammed it all in there. I'll tell you about one job, which was I had to replace the water pump at one point or swap it out for a rebuilt one. And all the forums say you can't do it with the engine in the car, except for one guy who says, but I've done it. And I did not have the facilities to pull the engine. So I went with that guy, followed his advice. Yeah, I got it out. Getting it back in was kind of like the sofa in the stairwell in one of the Dirk Gently books.
Pivot.
It took hours of jiggling and twisting and everything to make the thing go back in, but I was able to do it. Now the Plus 2, on the other hand, things are really accessible. Occasionally a little bit of a tight reach for a bolt or something, but not bad at all, really.
Well, I guess I'll stop complaining about when I was doing oil changes on my 1978 Toyota Corolla, and I was small enough because I was still in high school that I would have to brace my knees on the bumper to tighten the oil pan plug. I couldn't get enough
Right.
leverage. But I was like, I was like this big, I was like the size of a coffee table.
I've heard
so the world of automotive maintenance, it'd be great if we had our friend Ronnie on this show, who ironically used to work with my sister-in-law. Yes. Although I've never known the two of them at the same time. But I don't know, he complained about the maintenance required on BMWs in one of our previous episodes. But yeah, the world is full of strange things. Like I remember on the old Pontiac Fieros from the 1980s and early 90s, where if you had the V6 version, you in order to change the spark plugs on the bank that was closest to the firewall, you actually had to disconnect one or two of the motor and transmission mounts to let the motor sag enough to gain the clearance to get to the spark plugs.
Subarus are worse. Some of them you've got to do an engine pull to get to the plugs.
Yeah, I mean, and like on my Chevy Astro van, get anything on a van is more difficult. But yeah, to get to spark plugs, it's a wonderful combination of growing a second elbow and putting a 2 or 3
extra joints in your fingers.
On your socket extension kit. Yes,
I've done an ignition overhaul on an Astro. I know what you're talking about.
Don, I think, is blissfully not having to deal with any of these issues.
Send it to my mechanic.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's kind of where I'm at too. But but still, the fact that that it's so unbelievably you need a bloody degree in electronic engineering just to be an auto mechanic, and I think that's absolutely ridiculous.
But the polar bears appreciate it.
Yeah.
Well, yes and no, but I mean, honestly, I mean, it's so frustrating, and I think I'm sorry, any designer that does that crap, like you have to pull the engine to change a spark plug.
Well, not pull it. Just let it.
I mean, I just want to punch him in the throat. I want to punch him in the throat. It's ridiculous. Okay. You're just being a jerk.
I've seen a German car, I can't remember which one, where they had to take off the entire back half of the car piece by piece to get to one bolt to make one change within the car itself. It was crazy. And there was this other video. He's like, I had to take off this and I had to take off this. And you're walking around the shop to see all these parts that have been organized and stuck away on the side so they could get to one thing. And it was just to like change something on the hatchback of this one particular car. This is crazy. Why would you make that one bolt so inaccessible?
Changing a light bulb on our GLK 350 Mercedes, my husband's car. Oh my gosh. Our mechanic said, you got to be kidding me.
Yeah.
I cannot change this. I cannot change this. This is no. I cannot do this.
VW Beetle. You can't change the damn headlight unless you take the wheel off the car.
Yeah, I was
And
actually.
that's the same thing with this car.
Yeah.
You have to take the wheel off. You have to, and you have to, and then you have to like move something around, and then you can change the frickin' light bulb.
Yeah, and that was my next door neighbor was doing that on his.
I love.
Well, on his.
Go ahead.
On his.
Go ahead.
Yeah, on his very new Chevy pickup truck. It was less than 4 years old. And that's the new way to get to that. And on a lot of sedans now, you have to remove the entire front fascia in order to change headlights. Mm-hmm. But they make removing that front fascia a lot easier than it used to be.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
I wish they had done that. And this comes back to German cars. I had a Mark IV VW GTI 2002 with the 1.8 turbo. Only car I ever bought new in my life. And I did the cam belt on that thing 3 times. And what a job, because you have to remove one of the engine mounts. It goes through the middle of the belt. The engine has to be raised and lowered above and below its ordinary position a few times to get to a couple things. Of course, the right front wheel comes off because you've got to get in that wheel well to remove an intercooler duct to get to the crank pulley, even when the engine is below its usual position. Things like that. It's just a bear of a job. The tensioner was just pure hell to deal with. And as it turns out, the following generation of VWs and Audis, they made it so much easier by having 4 bolts to remove the whole front end.
And all of this, and this may not sound related, but it is 100% related. All of this is why I don't have sewing machines, except I have only two sewing machines that run on electricity. Because if they misbehave and they get out of whack, I will literally hit them with a rubber hammer. I have.
Dawn's got problems.
I'm telling my husband.
Oh,
I'm on.
I mean, like with the exception of my serger or overlock is, of course, the youngest machine I have is a 1950s Essex, which was about this big because it was like post World War II. It's a little chain stitch machine. I just kind of carry it everywhere I go, but I've got an 1890 Singer with the kidney plate on the back of it, and she messes up and I just go whack, and it's solid cast iron. And I don't have to replace any belts. Literally, the only belt I have to replace on that thing is the little rubber bobbin tire, and it cost me $4. And why can't we still do that with cars? This is utterly ridiculous.
You wouldn't be able. I mean, we're rapidly running out of time. We need to answer the trivia question, but you would not be able to do that with Claudette.
No,
you don't. You don't have the emotional fortitude to hit any part of Claudette with a hammer.
No, and and to be perfectly honest, after she has successfully navigated me to whatever destination I'm going to, where I have to turn on my GPS, I do pat her on top of the screen and go, "Thank you, I really do appreciate it."
3 minutes
You're
left,
the
Tim.
Best girl ever.
3 minutes left, Tim.
Okay.
Tim, take away trivia.
Okay, let's take it from the top. Also known as lean manufacturing, just-in-time manufacturing is a hyper-efficient process pioneered by which Japanese automaker in the 1960s? Was it Honda, Nissan, Subaru, or Toyota? Dawn, what's your answer?
Toyota.
Okay.
Toyota, absolutely. Studied this stuff. It's Toyota.
Gotcha. Ben?
I agree.
Yeah. Misty?
Toyota, like Don. Like I said, I have Lean Six Sigma yellow belt. Toyota.
Okay.
I'm going to go off. I'm going to go off the reservation here and say Asan Motors because it was the company that was in the movie Gung Ho.
That's a fun movie.
Or whatever Japanese car manufacturer that Jim Garner drove for in the movie Grand Prix. Yeah.
Right.
So yes, the answer is Toyota for you wonderful Six Sigma black belts.
I'm only a yellow belt. Don't go inflating my, credentials.
Thank you, Tim. Good stuff, Tim. Thank you. And to our listeners, thank you for joining us for this other weird episode of The Thing About Cars. Keep hanging with us. We'll have another episode for you in about a week. In the meantime, stay sober, stay safe, and stay warm and dry. Take care, everybody. See you soon.
See ya.
Bye.
Ciao.
Dag.
Doei.
Thank you for listening. This has been The Thing About Cars. We'll see you on the road.